Welcome to another episode of Speaking Through the Fog. My name is Miranda, and I'm kind of telling you about one of my relationships in high school that was abusive, and trying to explain how it got to the point it did. So far I've been kind of just talking about the buildup, really, and just some of the weird behavior he had, and like kind of how he was training me to kind of accept things. And so I talked about Valentine's Day, and that, it really upset me, and how he kind of taught me in that situation that, I can't force him to do anything he doesn't want to do. Um, he, and, it doesn't matter if I want to do it, it's got to be something he wants to do too, or else he won't. And, so I at least have a little bit of pride in saying I didn't completely think his behavior at this time was normal, even though I was, only 16. It was my first relationship, and sometimes I would be like, well, maybe I don't know, maybe these are just spats. But like, I knew like his anger where he's like hitting his head against stuff and beating himself, and like these fits he was throwing in front of everybody. I knew that wasn't like something everybody else did. So um I was, like I said, I think in one of the previous ones, I was kind of withdrawing from the relationship as much. I wasn't like as like enthused about it, and I still loved him. And I'm not saying like I was completely like done. I just was kind of not as sure about everything. And he, we had our good times too, and I really liked how he seemed to like really want to be around me all the time. And he would be kind of awesome in that, like, if everything was going right and everything was going his way, and I was behaving the way he wanted me to, and there wasn't anything going bad in his world, he was a really extremely awesome person, and just funny. And me and him would get along real well. And he liked my friends, and we would go and do his skateboarding and just like hike around places and stuff. And so that was really cool. And my friends all really loved him, and it was because he had this like he wouldn't do the really really bad stuff where people could see. He would throw fits, and he'd be whiny, and he'd be negative, but people were like, well, that's just kind of him, you kind of take it with a grain of salt, not everybody's perfect, kind of thing. But these like really angry fits and like blaming me for stuff and all of that, he didn't do that in front of anyone. And so my friends just kind of thought he was, that was him. And they always saw me with him. I was introduced to a lot of people when I was dating him, and so it was like Miranda and him, and it wasn't separated at all. So during this time, I couldn't tell my mom what was going on, because she's an evil harpy who wants to ground me and doesn't understand anything. I was a teenager, so I'm not going to go to my mom for advice, or my dad, oh, that'd just be ridiculous. And so I would talk to my friends. Well, my friends were completely like mesmerized by him, and not didn't know what was going on. And so when I would say like maybe like tell them things that would happen, they would think I was kind of like overreacting, or that I wasn't understanding the situation correctly, and they just could not believe that he was like that. And it wasn't like they believed that I was the one doing stuff, but they just didn't believe that our relationship really was that bad. They were like, well, I'm sure they were probably thinking they would have seen something, kind of thing. And actually I was kind of like really just validated when I saw my best friend at the time. Me and her met last summer when I had went back to visit some of my in-laws, and she said that she finally understands what I was trying to tell her at the time, and feels really really bad that she wasn't supporting me, and that she was kind of making me feel like I was kind of crazy for doubting anything. And because she had just gotten out of a really bad physically abusive relationship, and she realizes now the dual faces of an abuser, like they're one way with you, they're another way with other people. And that also she still talks to my ex, my old high school sweetheart, on Facebook, and she kind of sees the craziness I was talking about, this like random anger, because when he quit having a place to turn it all, which was on me, he just kind of turned it on the world. And so, like, people started to see kind of what I was dealing with when nobody was around. So she was really very, like, apologetic and, like, horribly felt bad. And I was just like, no, it's fine. That's a part of it. This. It's like he had everybody kind of fooled, even me in the beginning. And it's fine. And that was why when me and him finally broke up, I kind of like quit hanging out with her for a while, because she was so like just, and I use this a lot when I'm talking about this story, because this is like a pretty direct quote of what she said. It was like, okay, Yoko, way to break up the band. It was you and him, now it's just you, kind of thing. And I don't think that's the best idea and all this stuff. And so I just was like, okay, well, I'm going to distance myself to let you kind of get used to the fact that it's not, we're not doing what we were going to be doing with, me and him, kind of thing. And she finally kind of got used to it, and we became friends again. And she's actually one of my better friends. And yeah, she did apologize. So, and it was just, yeah, but at the time, I just kind of felt like maybe I was being a little bit over dramatic, or maybe I wasn't thinking about it right. I kind of thought I was, but I wasn't like entirely sure. And I was like, well, maybe, maybe this is it. This is kind of like every once in a while he's going to do this, but that's fine. It wasn't every once in a while, though. It was almost every time we were together. But still, I was like, trying to play it off. I loved him. I was 16. Everybody else liked him. My parents were kind of weirded out that I spent so much time with him and wished they saw me more. But he wasn't necessarily bad to them. They thought he was kind of like, kind of a loser guy, but not personally bad. And he helped them when they asked, and was nice to me, they thought. So they just didn't really have any problems really too bad with him. So this is setting the stage for what I'm going to talk about next time, which is I leave for a while, and it really changes the whole everything. So watch my next episode in Speaking Through the Fog. Speaking Through the Fog.